Hey guys, so today I have for you some really good stuff. So make sure that you get your pen and paper ready because I'm gonna share with you the two main styles of self-motivation. Then we're gonna go through a self-discovery exercise, and at the end I'm gonna give you more tips on how to keep the motivation going once you set up your goal. So let's talk about what are those two main styles of self-motivation. The first one is going towards a reward. Look at it as a carrot dangling in front of your face. You see the reward, you see the carrot, and you just go, 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 and work. And that's what drives you, that's what makes you excited. The second style of self-motivation is avoiding consequences or fear of consequences. And you can look at it as a whip. And that's what gets you off the couch. That's what makes you finish your projects. That's what makes you achieve huge goals as well. So I'm gonna give you just like a real life example. There are people that will exercise and set fitness goals to be stronger, faster, leaner, have more energy, to look better, to feel better, to look younger, to win competitions, or to be better at their sport. And then there are people that will only exercise and only set up fitness goals to avoid the consequences of not exercising. I met a guy actually, he was telling me that his wife for the past 30 years have been pushing him to exercise and eating healthy, all that stuff, and he was never interested in any of that until he had a heart attack. And then since then he started exercising and eating healthy and all that stuff because his dominant style of self-motivation is avoiding consequences, right? So you see, it's really important that you know which one is your dominant style of self-motivation, which one was your style up until this moment. So now this is the time for the self-discovery exercise. So now take a pen and paper and write a list of all of your accomplishments. Small accomplishments, big accomplishments, maybe you finished a school or got a job or started a business, learned a skill, saved money for something or whatnot, like whatever accomplishment, lost weight or, became stronger, won a competition. Whatever it is that you have ever accomplished, any kind of project, anything, write it down, whatever you can remember, write it down. And next to each one of them, write down which motivational style was behind it. Were you driven by the reward or by the fear of consequence? This is a great self-discovery exercise because once you see it on paper, you can discover your dominant motivational style. And once you also understand this concept, then you can use these styles completely to your advantage and you can use them to accomplish all of your future goals. So I hope that you did this exercise, that you have your list, because you're gonna learn a lot about yourself from this. It's gonna help you understand your past decisions and your feelings about those decisions. It's gonna show you a lot. And I wanna share with you what this exercise revealed for me and what an eye-opening moment this was. Because when I looked at my list and then I looked at every area of my life, I found out that there is only one area in my life where I have been consistently motivated 100%, and I've never had really any issues staying motivated in this area. And you might have guessed it right, which area that is. Yes, it's health and fitness. I don't have any issues motivating myself to eat healthy. I don't feel like I need to even motivate myself to eat healthy, or I don't need extra motivation to exercise, all that stuff. That to me is just a way of life already, right? That's very simple for me. And then I realized when I looked at my list that both of these motivational styles are driving this area of my life, because I am equally scared of consequences of not exercising and not eating healthy as I am driven towards my fitness goals. That those both of these are equal. They are helping each other. These motivational styles are helping each other to keep me on track. So like I said, I'm pretty solid in this area of my life, but I'm still a human being. So if life gets really tough, every area of my life becomes affected. So when my dog died, and my dogs are like my children, I don't have kids, I have dogs. That's my family. They mean a lot to me. So when my dog died, I was devastated. I was really sad. I was grieving. And I kind of lost that drive to eat healthy or to exercise. I wasn't exercising, I wasn't eating healthy. There were days when I would be eating donuts in the middle of the night. I would drive in the middle of the night to a donuts shop, and Jesse and I would be eating donuts together on the couch at home. And and that was because I didn't have the drive. I didn't care. But you know what got me back on track? That pattern over here, that fear of the consequences. This was weak. The drive was weak, but the fear of the consequences was still going strong. So after about a week of grieving like this and eating crap and not exercising, that pattern over here that I have developed over the years and strengthened and reinforced was telling me, really? I know you're grieving, but does it mean that you have to really also ruin your health and fitness, right? Isn't it enough that you're sad? You also have to put your health in risk and all that stuff. So that was like a safety net. That was like a trigger that got me back on the right track. This is why it's important to have both of these motivational styles automated, integrated, and reinforced over time. So that got me thinking, and I realized that not only it helps to have both of these motivational styles working together as one force, it's also not really good to have one dominant style over the other. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'll give you an example. So there are a lot of immigrants in this country that worked really hard their entire life. Jobs that didn't pay much, only so that their kids can live in America, so that their kids can have that bright future living here. And they also want the best for their kids, so they have been pushing their kids, literally pushing their kids, to become doctors or lawyers, because they believe that these professions are important because they are stable, they give them the financial stability that they need, and the status and the respect in the society and all that stuff. So a lot of these kids of these immigrants become doctors and lawyers, not because of their heart's desire, but because they have the fear of consequences, and the consequence is to disappoint their parents. But what happens when you're driven by the fear of consequences, and you don't consider your heart's desire? That's when you start seeing things like depression and anxiety and all kinds of mental health issues, because that's one of the leading causes of depression is not following your heart's desire. So you have to be aware where you see the imbalance. If you're just doing something because of the fear of consequences and you're not following your heart's desire, that's when you're gonna be really unhappy. Now let's look at the opposite. Let's say that your dominant style of motivation is going towards the goal. So let's say you set up a goal, you are excited about it, but the moment life gets tough, you're gonna lose your motivation to keep going forward, and there's not gonna be anything to kick you back into the gear, like what happened with me when my dog died, right? I had that fear of consequences. So if you don't have that, if you just are driven by the goal, by the reward, but you have no fear of consequences, like telling yourself, if I don't achieve this goal, this and this will happen. If you don't have that, then you're more likely to give up on your goal. So if you're somebody who is driven just by the reward, then maybe you have experienced in your life that you started a project, you got really excited about it, and then you just, like, after a while, you just lost your interest and you never finished it. And maybe that happened several times in your life. The other thing is that if you are only driven by the reward without any fear of consequences, then, you know, while you're pursuing your goal, you may fail, because that's normal. We all fail while we are pursuing your goals. On that journey, we all fail. That's normal. But, you know, here's the thing. If you fail and you're only driven by the reward, there's a big chance that that failure is going to discourage you, and you're going to start to fear the failure more than the consequences of never achieving the goal, right? That's how also fear of failure can happen. That people are more afraid of that because they don't have the fear of consequences of not achieving their goals. Because if you had that fear and you kept telling yourself, if I don't achieve this goal, this and this and this will happen, I will never achieve this, I will never experience this, and you create that, then failure is gonna be nothing for you. You're gonna go right through it, because this is bigger motivation here. You're gonna be like, I don't care, I'm gonna fail again, I'm gonna fail 3 more times, I don't care. I'm gonna keep going because I don't want this to happen and I really want that to happen. Okay? So whenever you want to achieve something, whenever you set up a goal, you make sure that you keep telling yourself, why do you want to achieve this? And why is it going to be really bad if you don't achieve that? And keep telling yourself that, and keep creating these patterns in your brain, in your mind. Each time you tell yourself that, then you will create new neural pathways, and you're going to create new patterns in your brain. The more and more you do it, the more and more it's going to become automated. And suddenly you're going to see that there is an area of your life that is like on autopilot, that is so smooth, that that where you're super consistent and always motivated because of these patterns that you have put in place and programmed into your mind. So now you know that there are 2 motivational styles, and that if they work together, if you have them work together equally, then you can create that really strong motivational force that drives you towards your goal. And that you can have it automated by repetition, by repeating to yourself what you're trying to avoid and what are you going towards. Your mind only learns by repetition. So every day you want to repeat what you're trying to avoid, what you're going away from, and what you want to go towards. Repetition, 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 okay? And while are you creating these patterns, there is another trick that you can use to your advantage that will keep you on the right path and keep you motivated. So now let's talk about science and how we can use it towards our advantage. Let's talk about the hormone dopamine, because that's a motivational hormone. And it plays a fundamental role in our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain which is right behind your eyes, right behind your forehead. And that's the part of the brain that is responsible for functions such as making decisions and paying attention, and also motivation. So the dopamine hormone is a motivational hormone because it gets triggered with the anticipation of a reward. And that's great news because we can totally use that for our advantage. Now, it's a double-edged sword because the dopamine hormone is also the hormone that keeps you crave certain things and keeps you in unhealthy patterns, because it happens that if you link pleasure to something, the dopamine hormone will reinforce that behavior, reinforce that craving for the thing, so that it drives you to keep going after that pleasure, even if it's not good for you, because your brain doesn't care if it's good or not. It doesn't know the difference. Your hormones don't know the difference, what's good for you, what's not. So if you link pleasure to chocolate cookies, right? So every time you smell the cookies, you're gonna have this flood of dopamine. You're gonna want those cookies, and every time you satisfy that craving, next time you're gonna have the craving again, and the dopamine is gonna drive you crazy, and you're gonna find yourself unable to say no to those cookies. Here's how we can use the dopamine also towards our advantage when it comes to reaching our goals. So let's say you have a big goal, and you know that you can achieve this goal within the next 6 months, right? 6 months and you will achieve that goal. But there's a lot of work to be done within these next 6 months. So what you have to do is obviously to break that big goal down to smaller goals. But what you really want to do is to break it down so much to such tiny goals and tiny steps, and write them down every day. Every single little thing that you're gonna do towards that goal, you wanna have it as a list. Write them down every day, and so that you can check them off. Each time you accomplish that tiny step, check it off. Because each time you will check off that you did something towards this goal, you're gonna feel like energized, I did it, and I want to do more. Each time you're gonna have this flood of dopamine, feeling that anticipation and using the dopamine flood to your advantage, and so that you can create this pattern and this nice flow of dopamine that will support your motivation all the way to the end, all the way towards the goal. And don't forget about those 2 styles of motivation. Make them work together, make them fuel your motivation as well. I'm using these techniques for myself and my goals, and I'm always looking for new ways to motivate myself in other areas of my life. Health and fitness is perfectly fine, but other areas of my life definitely need some boost in motivation. So I'm constantly looking for new and better ways to motivate myself. So if I come across anything new, I will share that with you guys as well. So that's it, and I'll see you guys next time here on YouTube or in the Z Gym with my workouts.